An additional $1.27 million into Family Mediation Scheme is providing vouchers to eligible parents to get mediation services before attending court. The scheme has already helped 77% of cases reach whole or partial agreements away from family courtroom battles. Hi, I'm Karen Cole from Legal Minded Friends, and today we're going to discuss what this all means with a trained, accredited mediator in a Q&A, and I'm going to introduce you to two experts who accept the family court system is frustrating, and they have statistics behind the necessity for children to have a relationship with both parents to ensure a successful future. And at the end of this video, I have a special book offer for the best dad ever. So I hope you stick around because you may learn something you did not know, and information is power. Okay, without further ado, let me introduce you to Stephenie from Mediation and More. She is a trained, accredited mediator who has 15 years working with parents and their children. I have left direct links below for their website. Hi, Stephenie. As the court requires a MIAMS certificate, can you describe what that means?
Hi, Karen. A MIAM is the first stage of mediation. It's an mediation information and assessment meeting. It's an individual meeting between the party and the mediator. The purpose of that meeting is to just go through things with the party, understand what the issues are, give them information that they may not have thought about, point them in the direction of other resources that they may not know about or may not have considered. There is no pressure in that meeting for them to continue with mediation if they don't think it's right for them. The requirement of the court is that people find out about mediation before they make an application to the court for like child arrangement order, financial order, whatever. The party at the end of that meeting, you decide whether you want to continue with mediation and get the mediator to contact the other party, or whether you want to make an application to court. If you decide to make an application to court, the mediator will sign the appropriate form just to say that you've attempted mediation, you've attempted to find out what it's all about, but your decision, or the mediator's decision, because the mediator may say this isn't a matter that is suitable for mediation, then the process is for you to go to court. If at that MIAM you decide it's worth contacting the other party, they're given the opportunity to attend a MIAM as well. And if then both parties decide, well, okay, let's try a joint meeting, then the mediator will arrange that. At the MIAM, you can also be assessed to see if you're eligible for legal aid. And currently, there is other money available from the government, and the mediator can talk to you about that. So there's absolutely nothing to worry about coming to a MIAM. It's not an exam or anything else. It's just a discussion about what's the situation, can mediation help? If mediation can't help, step aside, sign the paperwork for court, and then you go to your Mackenzie friend or your solicitor or represent yourself. Okay, thanks.
Okay, let's talk about the money that is available and the additional funding that the government has just put into the scheme. Stephenie, how will that work for parents who need that funding?
The answer to that question is yes, the government have made money available. First of all, they made $1 million available, and then they've added another $1 million to that pot. For people to access that money, they do need to have completed the MIAM stage first, and to have paid for that if they need to pay. Obviously, if they can make an application for legal aid if they're eligible, and that covers all of their mediation costs. So that £500 if granted to a couple where one is getting legal aid and the other one is having to pay, the £500 can be used just by one person. If both people are paying, regardless of the difference in their incomes, the £500 can be spread equally. There will be a bit of a delay. The mediator needs to make an application to the legal aid agency for that money to be released. So possibly a delay of a couple of weeks to get mediation started, but it is of benefit to couples that are dealing with child issues. It's only available for child issues. People dealing with property and finance issues will have to pay normal mediation fees, and again, unless they're eligible for legal aid, which can also cover the property and finance matters. Okay.
though, in consideration of possible delays for funding to mediation and parents who are not eligible for the scheme, because the courts require a MIAMS for all cases before going to court and making an application. My question is, what is something parents can do if they want to keep the best interests of their child or children in the forefront of their separation?
Well, this is a big question. I think for a lot of couples, when they're in the throes of trying to sort things out and dealing with whatever grief has come from the end of a relationship, aren't always as mindful of what's happening to the children. And it's a big ask to be able to step into your children's lives and see what's happening from their point of view. All parents want to protect their children, but at the time when you're dealing with so many things, you can lose sight of what's happening to the children. And the best advice I can give is just keep as much away from them as possible. Children react, they've got very big ears at this time. They're very mindful of what's happening around them and can get the wrong idea from very, very small things. The most frightening thing for a child is a parent going missing from their lives. So keeping children informed, but in a child-friendly manner, but keeping them away from what I would call the stuff is the most important thing. Children, they've only been on the planet for a very short period of time. They can't process all the emotion that people are going through. So they need simple explanations and not to hear criticism of the other parent, which I know is often very difficult for people. But the best thing, is the children need to know it's not their fault. More than anything, children need to know whatever's happened, it's not their fault and there was nothing they could have done about it. Because often children think it's because they've been naughty, if only they'd been better, if only they'd been done better at school. List goes on and on and on. So keeping as much of that away from them as possible and trying to keep routines, really does help. Okay.
Yes, Stephenie, that is so true. When I read a Kafka's report, it breaks my heart to hear a child tell a social worker that they think their parents' breakup is their fault. And I agree, parents should be very sensitive around children. Stephenie, one last question. If parents are not being child sensitive, as you've mentioned, how does this affect the child or children?
We've become more and more aware of how children feel about things in recent years. Major advances in neuroscience have made us aware of the anxiety that children feel. One of the expressions that mediators often use is children are like wet cement. Whatever falls on them leaves an impression. And when that impression falls on them, it can't be taken away. And we know now there's so many adults that have experienced their own parents' separation and living in separated families. And we get a lot of information now from them about what life was like, how they felt. And that, together with the neuroscience, has really made us aware of the anxiety that children feel, particularly when mum and dad are in the same space together. So pickups and drop-offs, Christmas plays, carol concerts, end of year concerts, those sort of things where mum and dad are likely to be in the same space together. Children, that's a cause of major anxiety for children where there is tension between and conflict between parents. They don't know whose rules to follow. They don't know who they should go to first. It's a minefield for them. And when they have this continuing anxiety that goes on and on and on, if you like, and it doesn't, that remains unresolved. And it's important to note that when people first separate, everybody's anxious, and that sort of like a normal heightened anxiety gets resolved over a period of time. But for couples where that conflict goes on and on and on, and they really can't be in a space together without sparks flying, that for children, it's a killer. Because it does, that anxiety never goes away. That anxiety that children feel particularly in early childhood, where they can't process it, they haven't got the ability to process it, they just sit, it's fear, they experience fear, that lasts a lifetime. It goes with them into adulthood. So it again, big burden for parents, really. But anything they can do to lessen that tension. And if you really can't be in the same space together and be civil and keep the children at the forefront of that, it's better you don't have face-to-face contact in those circumstances. Okay, thanks, Karen.
So what I'm hearing is the anxiety children feel stays with them into their adult years. And I especially like your analogy, children are like wet cement. That is a great visual, I think, will help parents to keep the interests of their children in mind when they're separating. Stephenie, thank you so much for your insights. It would seem that mediation would also help parents to understand how their behavior can affect their children's well-being now and going forward in the future. I will leave a link to Stephenie's contact details below, and you can find Mediation and More online, and additionally I have a direct link to their website on my website. So before ending, let me play you a clip from an over 2.5-hour podcast where two leading experts in relationship breakups discuss the do's and don'ts of divorce. Let's now listen to Dr. Jordan Peterson and Dr. Warren Farrell on how the court system is such a difficult process.
Men and fathers and mothers go through the family court system. Fathers are much less likely to feel heard in the family court system, to feel treated as equals.
Oh, that's another reason why I wanted to talk to you before and today. In my clinical practice, I had men who were fine, upstanding men who were absolutely ground into nothing by the family court system. I mean, I pulled all the tricks I had out of my hat. One client in particular, a medical professional whose life was completely destroyed by the family law system. It was like watching a train wreck in slow motion, to use a terrible cliche. We tried every trick in the book to keep him afloat. What he wanted was 50% access to his 3 kids, and he was a really good father. I went out with him a number of times with his kids and watched how he interacted with them and how he taught them and how he cared for them, and went to his house and looked at how he set up their bedroom. And this guy did everything right. He was extremely high in conscientiousness, so unsurprising. But
well, I'm sure you want to hear Dr. Peterson finish that story. So I've left a link below in the description area, as these two discuss the practical implications when a child or children have no access to one of their parents, especially fathers, after separation. They also discuss 9 different styles of mom and dad parenting, which I think will really help parents, and the statistics they have on the importance of access to contact for a child to their parent, especially fathers, will help judges and professionals in the courts make better decisions. So please check that out. And before ending, I have a special book offer. This hardcover book by Tim Fenton titled For the Best Dad Ever. The back reads, "When my father didn't have my hand, he had my back." This book has many insights and activities that will give you inspirational ideas that dads can do with their children. If you know a dad that could benefit from this book, please direct message me. It sells for $9.99 in the shops. However, if you're a subscriber of Legal Minded Friends, we will sell it to you for $5.99, including postage within the UK. To recap today's information, I want to give a big thank you to Stephenie from Mediation and More, who gave us some great information on MIAMS and how mediation can help parents put their children first. I'm also recommending everyone working in and relying on the court system to listen to Dr. Peterson and Dr. Farrell discuss intensely the importance of contact. I think we can all agree, if you want your children to have the very best chances in life, they need both parents in their life. And to help you have a positive relationship with your child, We have a book offer while supplies last. Well, thank you for watching today's video. At Legal Minded Friends, we can help you with the court process. If you want to be a litigant in person, then I can help you by attending court with you as your Mackenzie friend. You can read more about that on our website. Please like this video, share this video, as you never know who it will help. Thank you.